This is a quick guide for Assassination Rogue in the War Within. Starting off looking at what our set bonus does, it's the Koreshi Phantom's bindings. When your bleeds deal damage, they have a chance to grant you Vile Tincture, increasing your poison damage, which can stack up to 10 times. The 4 set, while you have 5 or more stacks of Vile Tincture, Garrett, Rupture and Crimson Tempest deal more damage, and they're some of our core abilities. First of all, we're going to be looking at the raid rotation. Now, I do want to tell you that both of these builds are going to actually use Death Stalker hero talents. Ambush from Stealth applies 3 stacks of Death Stalker's mark to your target. When you spend 5 or more combo points on attacks against a marked target, you consume an application of Death Stalker's mark, dealing plague damage and increasing the damage of your next ambush or mutilate. You can only have one marked target at a time. Basically, everything in the middle kind of enhances this, and then when you consume your final Deathstalker's mark from a target, your target dies, you gain more energy, and your next Envenom cast of a maximum combo point is guaranteed to critically strike, dealing additional damage and applying 3 stacks of Deathstalker's mark to the target. So, how are we going to actually do the rotation? Well, you want to go in from stealth, because everything does generally more damage from stealth, and we're going to use ambush. And we've got a talent up here, Improved Garrett. Garrett deals 50% more damage and has no cooldown when used from stealth and after breaking stealth. And we've also got Shrouded Suffocation. Garrett deals increased damage by 20%. Garrett generates 2 additional combo points when used from stealth. So we're going to go into combat, use Ambush, and then immediately use Garrett and then Rupture. Rupture is a finishing move that does a bleed. So we have combo points and energy. Energy is your main spender. And then some abilities are going to generate combo points and some are going to spend them. Like, for example, Garrett awards a combo point, whereas Rupture will deal more and more damage over a longer period of time for the more points you use. So we're going to go in again from stealth with Ambush, then use Garrett, and then use Rupture to get both of those bleeds up on the target. Once we've done that, we can continue with a normal rotation, which is going to be keep up your slice and dice. This increases your attack speed by 50% for a longer and longer duration, depending on how many combo points you used. Then keep up Garrett, keep up Rupture, use Echoing Reprimand on cooldown. It's on a 45-second cooldown. It deals damage to an enemy and will enhance a few of your combo points. So see all my combo points, 3 of them are blue. These are my anima charged ones from Echoing Reprimand. If I use a combo point finisher on one of these points, it will act as if I've used the maximum points. Don't worry too much about it, especially if you're a beginner. More just use it on cooldown, and if it happens to hit in those slots, then you can use your finisher rather than waiting for max combo points. Then we have Vanish, allowing you to vanish from sight into stealth for a few minutes. Well, so not a few minutes, a few seconds, and it's on a 2-minute cooldown. Once you use that, you can then use Death Mark, which is on a 2-minute cooldown as well. Carve a Death Mark into an enemy, dealing bleed damage over 16 seconds. While marked with Death Mark, your Garrett, Rupture, and lethal poisons applied are duplicated, dealing double the amount of damage. So go into Stealth with Vanish, then use Death Mark and reapply your Rupture and Garrett so they can do that massive amount of increased damage, both from Stealth, but also from the Death Mark bonus. Then we have Shiv. You're going to want to use this before and during Kingsbane. It lasts for 8 seconds, but is on a 30-second recharge and there's only 2 stacks, meaning we can't have it up all the time. What does Shiv do? It attacks with your poison blades, dealing damage, dispelling all enrage effects and applying a concentrated form of your non-lethal poison. Your nature and bleed damage done to the target is then increased for 8 seconds, and this also awards a combo point. Then we can use, while in the Shiv window, Kingsbane, and use Shiv while in Kingsbane as well, to make sure you're keeping it up as long as possible. Why are we doing it like that? It's to maximise what Kingsbane does, with the extra damage we get from Shiv. Kingsbane releases a lethal poison from your weapons and injects it into your target, dealing damage, and an additional amount over 14 seconds. Each time you apply a lethal poison to a target affected by Kingsbane, the damage of Kingsbane is increased by 20% up to 1,000%. And then, in your Shiv and Kingsbane window, you can use Facility to restore 100 energy. Mastery is also increased. And we're using this to maximise damage, but also don't cap out on energy when you do this. So only use it if you have 200 energy or less. Finally, you will need daggers for this build. I'm not wearing full daggers because I'm filming all specs at the moment. I'm a bit lazy there. But Mutilate requires daggers. You attack with both weapons, dealing damage, and it awards 2 combo points. And finally, Envenom. It's a finishing move that is our lowest priority and will basically do a load of damage over a few seconds from our poisons. Speaking of poisons, what ones are we applying? Well, it's going to be deadly poison and amplifying and atrophic poison. Deadly coats your poison of a lethal poison for an hour. Striking, each strike has a chance to poison the enemy for nature damage, and subsequent poison damage will instantly deal nature damage too. Amplifying, coats your weapons of lethal poison that lasts an hour. Each strike has a chance to poison the enemy, dealing damage and applying amplifying poison, and that your envenom can actually consume some of that. And then atropic poison has a chance to reduce your enemy's damage, and that's the ones you're going to be using. If we now go over into the Mythic Plus rotation, only a few talents are really changing, and it's just going to help us do more AoE damage. We gain Crimson Tempest here, a finishing move that slashes all enemies within 10 yards, causing victims to bleed, lasts longer per combo point, and deals extra damage when multiple enemies are afflicted. We also get Caustic Splatter, where your Mutilate will cause a Caustic Splatter, causing 45 of your poison damage to be dealt to nearby enemies as well. And then we have Indiscriminate Charge. Garrot and Rupture apply to 2 additional enemies when used from stealth and for 6 seconds after breaking stealth. So make sure you're using your Garrot and Rupture in stealth still and out, and for after breaking stealth, to make sure you're spreading that around to nearby enemies, and that will include Vanish too. Apart from that, so the main rotation isn't really changing. Use any free ambushes, etc., which I haven't put on here, and same opener from stealth, but keep up Crimson Tempest at all times. Use your Mutilate at a higher priority to spread Caustic Splatter. Use everything else the same, but then down here, rather than Mutilate as a low priority, it's going to be Fan of Knives, which basically is an AoE combo point builder, and then using Venom the same, which will also, by the way, make a big splatter sometimes, as you just saw, doing more AoE damage on the floor. And that is the quick guide for Assassination Rogue in the War Within. Hopefully that was useful for you. If you would like to really master Assassination Rogue, check out the pinned comment and the description. I've put a link to my full in-depth Assassination Rogue for the War Within there. And I am doing all guides on that channel too, as well as this channel. There'll be a playlist here in a second where you can click to see all PvE and PvP quick guides for the War Within too. If you would like to support the channel, then you can join the Patreon. That is also linked in the description, where you can get macros for the War Within, my LVI profiles for the War Within, including weak auras, and also you can actually get VIP support in Discord on any spec or class that you may need help with, or any just general WoW help as well, and you can access that via Patreon DMs or Discord.